Yo, what's up guys? Today we are going to be talking about the Stormlight Archive theories. So if you haven't read that, we're going to be spoiling all the way up until that book, and we are basically just going to be talking about what's going to happen in book 5 of the Stormlight Archive, sort of the end of the first half of the series, and then at the end we'll have a little bonus thing of like what's going to happen for the entire like series as a whole. But yeah, it's good to be back. I was gone for a little bit. I traveled up to Buffalo to unload some of my stuff from my apartment, and then like the next week after that my friend got married. So it was hard to fit all of this in. I'll have like a better schedule when I do more traveling. I'm planning to go to the Dragonsteel Minicon, and that's in the works. That'll be happening at the end of November. And also, I will be covering the panel that is going to be happening with Rafe Judkins and the actors and all the stuff they're talking about. They're probably going to drop a trailer, so this weekend will be monsterly very busy for me, but I'm super excited for all the stuff that will come. I'm hoping there's a trailer. But anyway, let's get back to these theories. I'm going to take this pretty chill. I've just only done some of my research on Reddit, and I've also watched Lost in Discovery. He did a lot of really good ending videos, so I pulled some inspiration from there, some from Reddit, and then some of my own that I was just like, I'm just going to throw these in here. Let's see if they happen. But yeah, this is all speculation. I would love to have a discussion with you guys in the comments below. And while you're down there, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps me out so much, guys, and I love hearing from you, so please leave your comments below. So the first one we got is Dalinar becomes Odium's, or like Taravodium, whatever you want to say it, but Dalinar loses to a Taravangian because he has basically godlike powers, and now he's like has all of his like smartness unlocked, and he's slowly learning the power of the god. I don't know how much I really like this theory. I think it's definitely possible. I feel like that's too on the nose though. Like, Brandon has been setting it up, yes, but I feel like it's really in our face right now, and I expect when Brandon does his endings that we don't really know. Like, I never predict his endings. I don't know, that's very different from maybe you guys. I know something awesome is going to happen, and I feel like at the end of this book a lot of bad stuff is going to happen, but a lot of it's a big loss and a big win, right? And I'll get to that eventually, but it's totally possible that Dalinar could lose due to the contract that he has made with the former Odium, and Wit's kind of involvement in that, and Dalinar acting very quickly at the end of the book to just get it done, just start it. Yeah, so Dalinar will become Odium's, but I think there's so much else going on in the world, especially with the singers and the humans that's sort of like coming up and happening, and especially with the Spren and some of the Voidbringers and stuff like that. There's a lot of other things that are going on that just because Dalinar becomes Odium's doesn't mean it's the end of all things, basically, right? Because there's a lot of stuff happening, especially at the end of the book with the Spren and the Voidbringers and the singers, that is all sort of coming together, which I think will be a good culmination at the end of this series. But there's also going to be a lot of heartache as well. So what do you guys think? Do you think Dalinar becomes Taravangians? What does this mean for Odium, and what does this mean for Odium's ultimate mission to basically dominate all of the cosmere? I believe the implications of this will resound throughout the entire next arc, and even after the Way of Kings, when probably the big stuff in the cosmere starts happening. Alright, so this is just a real cut in real quick, probably like little lower quality, sorry about that. What I actually think is going to happen is that Dalinar will actually become the vessel for honor, and I think that'll play a lot into the implications for the rest of the series and a lot of the theories that I have. And I think that honor has the power to make these heralds, and then that's how Kaladin and Adolin are going to become heralds. Maybe not both of them, maybe just Kaladin, maybe just Adolin, maybe actually Kaladin does die, but I'll get into those theories in a second. So yeah, that's going to sort of just like, I think that is actually going to happen. I think Dalinar will become honor, and it's going to be Taravangian versus Dalinar, because I don't see Dalinar losing to Taravangian. Like, I don't think that's great storytelling. I think them battling as gods will be awesome to see, and I see that as happening because I think it also plays into the Spren coming back to life after they died, because a lot of people think they can't come back to life, but we obviously see at the end of Rhythm of War that they're able to like regain something. And I think that with honor coming back to life, because I think that can happen, that Dalinar will become honor. Maybe that's not right at all. This is just like a theory of mine, but I do think that is going to happen. I think Dalinar will become honor, and it'll be Odium and honor, so Taravangian and whoever. And then maybe like Yasna becomes cultivation. That would be awesome, but we don't really know what's going on with cultivation, so
We will see, but that is my theory for the whole Dalinar part. So cut back to the video.
So I do not, obviously the book hasn't come out. My next theory is that regardless of what happens, Odium is going to be driven out and he will start a huge campaign in Braze. So even though the contract agrees that he'll take over certain lands and stuff like that, I believe the Singers and the Voidbringers that are there are going to rebel against Odium, and they're going to throw him out anyway. So he will probably gain Dalinar, but he will lose to Roshar. So it's a big win for him and a big loss, but I believe there will be a human and Singer united like Roshar. But this also means that Odium now has one of the greatest commanders and warriors in all of like human history is Dalinar, and he will be leading a new wave of like enemies to Roshar and all of that. I know that Ashen will probably have a role to play in all of this. If you don't know, Ashen is the place that humans originally came from on the Rosharian system, and then they moved to Roshar because Ashen was like basically destroyed. I'm hoping I'll probably make a few videos on that coming later. We'll see with the schedule, but I believe that Odium will have to retreat to Braze regardless of the contract, because things outside of his power, such as some of the Voidbringers and all of that, will rebel against him. The Singers will reclaim some of their lands, but I believe there will be Voidbringers still on his side and other forces and powers we don't necessarily really know about with Odium. And basically the second half of the series is going to be Ashen, Braze, and Roshar, and they're all fighting sort of maybe against each other. It's going to get on the... It's not just going to be Roshar anymore. It's going to be the Rosharian system, and a huge battle happening within the system itself. I've seen some theories where people think we're going to go outside of the system, more bigger like implications when it comes to the cosmere. I think that's a little step too high. We haven't even gone to Ashen or Braze, and I think that's a logical next step when it comes to the end of the series as a whole. I think outside after that, we're gonna get to a series that'll like encompass all of the cosmere, and that'll be done probably with the Dragonsteel books and Wit, maybe. I don't really know, but I don't think we're going outside of the Rosharian system in Stormlight Archive. My next theory is one that hurts because Kaladin is one of my favorite fantasy characters of all time. The only character that has like brought me to tears from a book, and I believe that he will die at the end of the 5th book. Now, what do I mean by that? So some people think that he's going to die and he'll be done for sure, but I think it's going to be one of those things where he is going to die, but he is going to be a new Herald. Now, people can correct me if I'm wrong on this, if like that's not how the lore necessarily works, but I think that some of the Heralds are going to go mad. Obviously, they are going mad, and they are going to die, and now that the pact is not fulfilled, their like essence or whatever, like kind of the thing with the shards is going to go into new people, and when Kaladin dies, he is going to become a Herald, or he'll become a Herald without him knowing it, and he'll die, and then he'll be sent to Braze with like the new pact they're probably going to try to make at the end of the 5th book, because I believe there will be a new pact at the end of the 5th book to lock Odium up. I forgot to mention that in the first theory. So even though he captures Dalinar, the Voidbringers will rebel against him. That'll probably happen around Act 2, Act 3, and then they are going to make a new pact, and they're going to lock away Dalinar and Odium and all of them back to Braze, because they're going to have to make new Heralds, and all of that's going to happen. I forgot to mention all that. I guess that's a big part of the theory. But yeah, after Dalinar dies, then they're going to figure out Yasna is going to help figure out to make a new pact with the help of Wit and all of the other people. And there's going to be new Heralds, and I believe that Kaladin will be one of them unknowingly. And I'll get to my other person who I think will become a Herald as well unknowingly. But Kaladin will become a Herald, and then he will go to... We think he will die at the end of Book 5, and maybe we'll get an epilogue of him waking up in Braze. So that's where we get the person who is going to be in Braze. We get like how we're going to be in Braze. We're going to be in Braze with Dalinar and Kaladin. Dalinar is going to be captured and enslaved and whatever, probably like... I don't think it'll be Dalinar anymore. It'll just be like a mindless person who will be ordered around by Taravangian. And then we're going to have Kaladin in Braze being tortured and maybe probably trying to escape. That's sort of what I think is going to happen. I don't think we completely get rid of Kaladin at all. So, some people are like, no, that's what needs to happen. He needs to die. And I'm like, maybe it's my love for him, but I think what would be a better storytelling is having or not maybe better storytelling. What I would want to happen is him go to Braze and we figure out more about Braze. I also love the new Herald sort of idea, because all these Heralds are going mad and they've lived so long. They just need to get on out of here, and we need to get new Heralds. Or maybe it's like breaking the cycle. We don't need new Heralds anymore. We just need to get this figured out. Who knows? I don't really know. I want him to be a Herald. I want him to speak the 5th ideal, and when he does, he dies and he becomes a Herald. That's like my thing. And so this theory goes into my next theory. I've seen some things talking about Shallan, how she can't soul cast because Radiant is sort of holding that power from her. But once she merges with Radiant, like she merged with Veil, then she will be able to use that power. I think, however, she is not going to have that fulfilling arc. There will be a part where Shallan is about to accept Radiant and she's about to do all of this, because Brandon loves to do these moments where it's like, oh, we're almost there, and then boom, dead. Like, so I mean, that happened with Elokar, that happened with Teft. He's done this a lot of times with people. So I think we're going to have another moment like that with Shallan, and I think it's a beautiful moment. These are played great. Even though he keeps doing them, I love it because it's like, it's almost giving you that, but you don't have it yet. So I think Shallan is going to go into herself. She's going to accept Formless. I don't know if she joins the Ghostbloods completely, so we'll see, because she sort of like burned that bridge already. But I think Adolin will die, and then Shallan will almost accept Radiant to become like fully Radiant and speak her 5th ideal. But I don't think that's going to happen. She's going to come short of it. Like, Kaladin will succeed in doing it, but he will die. Shallan will almost be able to do it, but she loses the person she loves most. And she'll have to like go into herself and into Formless. Now here's like my bonus theory. I don't think Adolin truly dies. He is going to become one of those new Heralds, and he is going to go up with Kaladin to Braze to be tortured, and both of them are going to have to figure out how to get out of Braze. I would love this. This is what I would do as a storyteller. Brandon is far more experienced than I am, and he's probably going to do a great job wherever direction he goes, but I think it would be great to explore Braze, explore Kaladin and Adolin's like relationship and all of that. I think it would be awesome. I would love it. Number 5, this theory mainly comes from Lost in Discovery. I watched his whole like what's going to happen at the end of the series. I disagreed with some of it and agreed with a bit of it, but the one that I liked is Gavinor becoming the champion for Odium. It is almost the perfect move to make. And I don't think it's too predictable. Like, Odium taking over Dalinar, like, that's sort of, like, really been paved in stone, and you can see that. But I think baby Gavinor becoming Odium's champion, that's not very, like, I don't think that's very predictable. But I think it's what could lead Dalinar to be, like, basically give up and becomes Odium's champion. But I believe Dalinar will come up with a plan before that so they can, like, get him back and stuff, probably with Yasna. And we won't really know about that until, like, later on in the series. But I think there will be a plan to be able to get Dalinar back, especially with Wit and Yasna, and they might try to figure something out. I don't really know. But yeah, I love that sort of theory where it's baby Gavinor becomes the champion, especially since we've seen involvement with him and Dalinar lately, especially in the last books, and trying to help him. And we also see the stuff with Szeth where he's like, I feel sorry for this child because he's like happy and he's just going to be sad, and it's not going to be a great life for him, obviously. And I think it'd be really cool in 10 years to see where Gavinor eventually goes as Odium's champion, and also with Dalinar at his side and stuff like that. So we'll see how all of that turns out. I love that theory. And as I mentioned before, this is sort of like my last sort of bonus theory. I said that the series in the second part will be about Ashen, Braze, and Roshar, and so the Rosharian system. It's going to be a conflict on different planets, which is going to be really cool to see. I hope that we're obviously going to have Yasna like sort of fixing everything on Roshar, but someone needs to go to Ashen to be able to, like, because there's still people there. Like, it wasn't completely destroyed. There's still people on that planet. It's like in turmoil, but we need someone to go to that planet to sort of like explore it and all of that sort of stuff. I don't know if that happens at the beginning of the series or near the end, but I feel like we figure out portals to Ashen at the end of this book. I don't know, maybe that's a little too soon. And then later in the series, we eventually get a portal from Braze to Roshar because of Kaladin and the people that went there. Like, we need people to go to Braze because we don't know the pathway from Roshar to Braze, so we need to figure out the Braze to Roshar pathway, if that makes sense. That's why I think there's going to be characters that go over there, and it would be perfect if Kaladin died and he had to escape with Adolin and they figured out their way back. Who goes to Ashen though? I don't know. I was thinking Szeth at first. Szeth could go to Ashen because I believe that's like, I believe it's in his homeland where they're about to go in book 5, and it would just be right for him to like his redemption arc to maybe like go to Ashen and save those people. I don't know, like who do you think goes to Ashen if the stuff doesn't happen with Adolin and Shallan actually does speak the 5th ideal or whatever, and she's able to go on? I don't know, I think she's done the 4th ideal. I'm not sure. I can't remember, but if she does do the 5th ideal and she is like a new herald or whatever, I might be like confusing people. 5th ideal for Radiance isn't the same thing as becoming a herald. I just wanted to make that clear. I just think for our main characters, those things could correspond where they do speak the 5th ideal and then they inherit certain souls or what. It just so happens in the series that when they speak their 5th ideals, a herald dies and they are able to take over their essence. I don't know if that's a thing that could happen. I don't know. I would love for that to happen. Anyway, sorry, that was a small little tangent, but I think that Shallan would be a great person to go to Ashen, and she figures out more of the origin of the Ghost Bloods, because I think that's more of where it's coming from. So we'll see with all of that. So Shallan would be the perfect person to go to Ashen if my other theories aren't correct. Another great person would probably be like Lift, and maybe with the help of like cultivation or something. We'll just have to see. I don't really know, but we definitely will have a conflict of Ashen, Braze, and Roshar, and at the end of it, we'll finally have a like united Rosharian system. But at the cost of that, they'll drive out Odium, and Odium will basically start consuming and corrupting and killing and all of that in the entire cosmere. So they're going to set loose the beast at the end of the Stormlight Archive, but they'll finally have a united Rosharian system. I feel like Odium doesn't come out of it empty-handed though, so he will be released from the system because that was their big goal, is to like keep him contained, but it came at like the cost of their like sanity and life and all of that. But I feel like at the end they finally reclaim their land, but they let loose Odium onto all of the cosmere. He's not bound by that system anymore. So he's like free to go out and kill at like whatever. We get a good outcome because everybody we love is sort of like protected, or whoever's left is protected, but bad because Odium is now released into all of the cosmere. But yeah, he doesn't come out empty-handed. I believe that he will have a certain army around him to be able to take with him. So maybe some loyal Voidbringers, maybe some loyal humans that stay with him. Maybe Ashen is still loyal to him and we just don't really know anything about that yet. So when they connect all the pathways, he's able to take the rest of the humans from Ashen and the rest of the Voidbringers from Braze and bring them together as like an ultimate army. And Roshar is able to drive the rest of the bad ones out. But Odium takes the army with him, and he is able to wreak havoc on the rest of the cosmere. So that's sort of all of my theories. It was all over the place, I kind of know. I just sort of do these videos to get my thoughts out, just sort of have a conversation, and I love talking with you guys. Be sure to like and subscribe, guys. Comment below your favorite theory, what you agree with, what you disagree with. I love conversating with you guys, and I will see you guys in the next video.